Hi everyone, it's Jason Lane here, and this is the Adobe Aero workshop at the 2020 Adobe Education Summit. Thank you for joining me, and I'm just going to run you through some of the reasons why I use Adobe Aero and a little bit about me. Then we'll move on to the workshop demonstration itself. So let's get underway. So I'm Jason Lane, and a little bit about me first. I'm the e-learning pedagogy leader at Villanova College in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. I've been teaching for around 26 years across lots of creative disciplines such as visual art, media design, digital technologies, and more recently, the subject that I guess I'm most inspired by is project-based learning. I'm very lucky in that the principal and the Dean of Teaching and Learning at Villanova College has given me a bit of a sand pit to play in. And it's a subject that all Year 7 students do at the college, and it's called the project. And what I do is I set a driving question, and students work by themselves and in teams using lots of different ICTs, including Adobe apps, to create solutions. And there's no assessment as such, and it's, I guess, a safe space for students to be creative, to further their digital skills, to learn important things like how to email, how to save files, how to use lots of different apps depending on what kinds of outputs you're trying to create and so on. And I really love the subject. It gives me access to every student in a particular cohort, and we have lots of fun. So that's one of the key things about what we're doing here. We're having fun while we're learning about ICTs. I'm an Adobe education leader, very proud to be one, and I hope I can continue to stay one for as long as possible. I get so much value out of this community, and I love engaging with lots of people who are like me. We're just totally hell-bent on creativity and using digital tools in the classroom. I'm very interested in all things EdTech, as you can imagine. I'm a Minecraft global mentor, and I have been very passionate about the use of Minecraft in education for about 4 years. I've published a few worlds that are based on art and design that have been featured in the Minecraft Education Edition library. Very proud about that. And I'm also a Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert. So I'm part of a few different communities, and I love the engagement that I have with Adobe and these other communities. It's just such a rich way to work if you can get outside of your own school community and work with others. I'm creative at heart, and let's face it, that's why we're all here. We're all the same kind of people, aren't we? That's my Twitter, jslane72, and my email if you'd like to get in touch with me. Share your experiences with Aero. Ask me anything about today's workshop. More than happy to engage with you after this. I'm here to help you. So I hope that we have a great workshop together. The key question that we have to ask is, what is augmented reality? And it's a question that the Adobe HelpX docs answer quite well. If you look at the Adobe Aero user guide, which is at HelpX, you'll find everything you need there, including this lovely little article which explains what augmented reality is. But at the same time, this is very helpful for me, and it helps me make sense of why perhaps we use augmented reality in schools more than virtual reality. As you can see on the left-hand side, augmented reality is about digital overlays that are usually occurring on handheld devices. Now, handheld devices are cheaper. We can issue and monitor and maintain them more effectively in class settings. In fact, most schools might have iPad fleets or mobile devices that can be loaned out for short periods of time. And that's where augmented reality apps, I think they're ready for education. Virtual reality, I'm not so sure yet. I've invested a fair bit of time and even budget into purchasing VR headsets. And I think that while students can immerse themselves into virtual reality content, it's very hard for students across the K to 12 to create experiences using virtual reality headsets. You need some quite clunky equipment. You've usually got a tethered headset which has to be hooked up to a very expensive computer with a graphics card running flat out the whole time. Augmented reality is much more of a better fit in terms of budget and pedagogy, and that's why I love this product, Adobe Aero, and you'll see how we're using it in my school to great advantage, and the students love seeing their work in this app as well. So that's my take on augmented reality versus virtual reality, and why I think augmented reality is such a good fit at the moment for schools. Adobe Aero, it only works on iOS devices, and if you again go to the user guide for Adobe Aero, you'll come across this page in the introduction which specifies the types of devices that you need. Because Aero uses the AR kit, which is part of the architecture of the later model iOS devices, that's why it doesn't work on all iOS devices. And I must admit, the first time I saw Aero, I was very excited. I tried to download it and I wasn't able to because my phone was too old. So anyway, saved up, went on to a new plan and got a better phone. And that way I'm now able to do quite complex scenes on a phone. But at the same time, I could be using an iPad, which gives me a bigger screen. So make sure you check in with that article. You will find, though, that if you try to download Adobe Aero and your device doesn't support it, I believe the app won't be downloaded. But make sure you check in with that document too. So here's some examples, and this, for me, is where the journey began. You'll see my daughter in a few of these videos of Adobe Aero in action. And as you know, I'm very mad about Minecraft as much as I am Adobe. And my first thought was that students are so fast at building things in Minecraft that it's almost a native building platform for them, like Lego was for me as a very young kid. And so I asked some students to design for me a child's play set that could go into a courtyard. And so this is what they built. My daughter features in some of these videos, and so she's here as a sense of scale. As I dropped in a model that was exported from Minecraft Education Edition, Minecraft Education Edition has a structure block, and that allows you to basically draw a net around an object and to, suck it out of Minecraft as a GLB file, and then you can upload it into Aero, which is where, as I said, my journey began. And I was instantly fascinated with the options that this would have in schools. So I'll just play this video and you'll see my daughter just doing her own thing in the background, and the table has been dropped in there as a sense of scale. It's quite a simple construction, but you can see how it does look, even though it's a bit Minecrafty, it looks quite real in that space there. So if we move on to the next slide, this is where I kind of went a bit bigger and bolder. Again, I was still playing with Minecraft in this stage, where rather than just one object in a courtyard, I was asking myself, how big can we go? And so I said, what if Minecraft was reality? Students and parents, myself included, spend a fair bit of time in this space, and you do tend to lose sight of reality. So I was asking, what if Minecraft was reality? What if we could walk through a park and actually experience Minecraft buildings and objects and structures? So I just went and found a village in a Minecraft world. Again, dropped structure blocks around different entities and pulled them out. They are appearing in the bottom corner of the PowerPoint. And then I made a massive surface area in a park near my house and dropped the models in there and walked around them. So that way I was walking physically through a Minecraft world. So I'm very proud of this video because this, again, was for me a major aha moment. You may be able to hear the birds and the park noises in the background. So again, it's another layer of reality that I brought to this. Watch also how the angles of the shadows over the blocks change as I change the angle of the camera. And so you can imagine when I first showed this to students, it absolutely blew their minds because they were kind of seeing reality and virtual reality meshed together. And what's really good too is depending on what you build, if there's transparencies or hollows, you can see through them. So that's like looking at a tree in the distance through an object that was placed using Adobe Aero. So this opens up the opportunity for imaginative storytelling and narratives. You can imagine how you could create a video like this and ask a student to write a story about it. or to consider role play scenarios in this space. So we'll move on. This was me yesterday, mucking around in my kitchen at home. Reality reimagined. So the question here is, what is real and what is not real on this bench? Obviously, I don't have an armadillo on my kitchen bench, so that's a given. But as you look at this video, these are all involved with the use of Adobe Starter Assets. And as we go through the workshop, you'll see that I use quite a lot of these starter assets, and they're all beautifully categorized, easy to find in the app. Also, this simulation involves behaviors where when you tap on an object when it's in the view, you can trigger animation, or you can make things spin, rotate, and do all sorts of wonderful things like that. So let's take a look. Okay, so as we go around, the computer is real, the armadillo is not, and when I tap on him, he starts to go through an animation sequence. Then in comes my daughter again, and I said, pat the armadillo and I'll make it move. So that's exactly what we did. She patted it and I made it move just by simply tapping it on the screen. Then as we go around my kitchen bench, I put a dinosaur in a frying pan. Why? Because I could. And I said to my daughter again, go up and stroke the back of the dinosaur and make it roar. And so that's exactly what we did. This is now a cut to the other half of the video. Yes, you can drop in letters as well, so you can make your name, or you can put in initials and things like that into spaces. There is no plant growing out of my cutting board, but that's obviously another Aero insert. The vase of tulips were another insert, and so too were those products, the box and the drawstring paper bag. The detail on that is amazing. As we go around to the couch in this living space, you will see my dogs and a little adopted fox who I just dropped on the couch, and then by the time I brought my camera around, one of my dogs was sitting there. So in comes my faithful assistant. I said to my daughter, go and pretend there's another dog next to little Heidi and tap it. And so she did, and then the fox animates, jumps around, and the other dog pops up too. So there we go, 2 real animals and 1 augmented reality pet fox. We had lots of fun making this, and you know, sometimes that's the point of creativity, just to have a bit of fun and to imagine the impossible, and that's what we did when we put this together. The next example, though, is a more serious one, and this is an example of the project subject that I run at the school. This is Year 7 work, where I asked the students the driving question: what makes a space a place? So a place has a purpose, and what do you need to bring into a space to to make it functional, to give it a reason for being there? And so students were given big blank plaza areas of the school, and this student team designed that they wanted to make an outdoor learning area where students could sit and learn, they could play games, or they could just be in conversation with each other. And so what's great about using Aero here, once again, this is a Minecraft build, is that students are able to imagine things, design them, develop them, and then drop them into these augmented reality scenarios. And by doing so, they can see if their ideas are suitable or not. In the case here, this student team was very successful. They had great ideas that suited the space, and this video that you're about to see was the students just filming vertically with a borrowed phone. And you can see as they kind of walk around the space, they are seeing how all the objects interrelate. So I'll play this video and I'll just kind of talk to some of the points. So that's a water fountain because there's no place for a drink in this area. And you're looking here at a launch pad, a space where students would start a class before they'd move into spaces for learning. These are multi-purpose tables where students can play games. Table tennis is crazy in our school. So these students, like other teams, design tables that you can learn on but play games on as well. There's benches, there's chessboards, as well for games that you can, table games that you can play, and also lots of space for learning. You'll also notice that there's clearance on the side of the table, and the idea there was the table had to be accessible so that students with wheelchairs could roll in under and have a place to place their books and still be a part of learning in groups. This is the launch pad covered so that students don't get wet or they can stay out of the hot sun. And they even dropped a little lectern in there as a space for teachers or students to, address the class. And the final thing that you'll see is them spinning back around to the fountain. And the idea is if you're learning outside, it's going to get hot, so you need a place to have a drink of water. And so this is some of the fun that we have using Adobe Aero to prototype our solutions and for students to kind of see their ideas in this augmented reality environments. And so as we go into this tutorial, I'm going to use the analogy of crawl, walk, and run. Crawl being baby steps using Adobe Aero, walk being more meaningful use of the tool, and then run being as far as we can take things within this period of time together. So crawling will be simply downloading, signing in to Adobe Aero, and walking with me through the Adobe Aero tour. All students that use Aero have to complete the tour first. It teaches them better than I can all of the basic tools and behaviors. And after that, I find that as long as the students know where the models are, whether they are the starter assets or their own, there's little else that they need to know how to do. They're very good at picking up all the ropes of Adobe Aero having done the tour. The next thing we'll be doing is creating a scene using the starter assets. And rather than just kind of putting 2 or 3 assets on the table next to you, I'll be encouraging you to actually think in 360 and to kind of, use your space so that way you are aware, like my Minecraft village, how vast you can create an area using Aero so that you can physically walk through a space that you create and manage. And finally, run. If we get this far, we'll be creating an experience, and the experience being where, as my daughter did, you can kind of create narratives or engaging videos where if you tap an object, you can animate it or make it move or shrink or grow or rotate or whatever. And so that will be our journey through this afternoon's workshop. And again, thank you so much for joining me.